I don't know what's more confusing, learning astrology or just being a human. Moonday Musings is here to help with that. A weekly, no bullshit guide for the upcoming cosmic forecast and how you can actually use this in your real life. Hello, neighbor. Welcome back to another episode of Moonday Musings. Happy Monday and happy Moonday, my friend. If this is your very first time here before, hello and welcome. My name's Danny. I'm that witch next door, and I'll be your host, your guide, your mentor, your instructor, your spiritual bestie, really, in all things magical. In all things magical, I guess that does work. In all things modern witchcraft and cosmic living. And Moonday Musings is a little mini cast here on That Witch podcast where we talk about the astrological forecast and energy of the week, of the month, and we talk about working this into our day-to-day life and our spiritual practice as witches. So if you are here today, Monday, May 26th, this is the last Monday of May, the last moon day of the month. And here on Moonday Musings, on the last Monday of the month, we have our intentional reflection and gratitude episode. So the start of every moon day is all about the start of every moon day, the start of every month on Moon Day is really about looking at the overview for the whole month ahead. So next Monday, when we meet again, we will be looking at the cosmic energy and overview for the month of June. But before we step into that, one of the best ways that you can mindfully and intentionally step into the month ahead as you are setting new goals, setting sights for yourself, making plans, scheduling your time, really is to set some quality time aside to do some reflection. So intentional reflection is something that takes place tangibly. This is not where we just kind of sit here and we're like, okay, what was May like? I want you to challenge yourself to bring this practice into your real physical life by pulling out your phone or your device. Look back at any pictures that you took throughout May. Look back at your calendar. Look at your events, your tasks that you accomplish. Pull out maybe your planner and look at any notes that you wrote in. Was there anything that you did get to? Was there anything that you didn't get to that you had originally wanted to? Did anything happen this month? Did a total wrench get thrown in the entire system? I have found that by really physically looking back on really any data and any documentation, any evidence of the past month can really, really help kind of transport us right back into that time. This helps us integrate anything that we've been learning this month. Our incredible brains and nervous systems as humans are constantly learning. We are always learning from our experience. And so when we kind of let ourselves transport back a little bit in time and really think back to the versions of ourselves just a few weeks ago, to the events that we were experiencing, to the things that we were going through, you can really bring all of that energy into your present and so much more mindfully apply it into your month ahead. This has been an absolute game changer for me as somebody who really, really struggles with time and time management. Not only just as a regular human being who's trying to cope with the our sense of time, which is basically made up by all of us. I am a neurodivergent mom and solopreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a very, very small but mighty team of individuals that I work with in my business. And I have so many moving parts in my life. And I already naturally, just based on my brain type, how I was built, my own genetics, how I was raised, I have a very hard time really grasping time accurately and setting goals and setting intentions and looking ahead and asking myself, what do I want to do at this time? What do I want to have accomplished by the end of June, for example? It really wasn't until I started doing active, intentional reflection, really, truly going back and looking back through my journal, any habit trackers that you have, going through my finances. This is your monthly reminder to look back at your bank statements and your financial activities over this last month. Really let yourself totally objectively, with as little to no judgment for yourself as possible, simply pull up the evidence of your life for this past month and take a look at it and let it inform your month ahead. I promise you, by taking some intentional time to do this now, whether that's literally right now and you want to pause this episode right here and use this as an active reminder to do your reflection time right now, or simply, if you're watching me on video, I'm being attacked by Fuzz over here. You also are going to notice a significant increase in how you make an increase in confidence in how you reach your decisions and how you map your time moving forward. When I started looking back, I was able to remember all of these little tiny details that happened throughout this month that I normally would have totally forgotten about because they were tiny little details. But by going back, I will remember these little things and I'll go, oh yeah, I keep trying to set my alarm for this time and it has totally not been working. There will be something in my reflection that will remind me, oh yeah, something I've been really struggling with this month has been waking up on time. And that's true story. I've been really struggling with waking up at my goal time for the morning. And so pulling back maybe some layers about why that is. Maybe, some of my habits at bedtime might be a little telling for the mornings that I'm having. But the point is that just this little minor detail coming up for me in my reflection helps me make some adjustments moving forward. And this very simple practice is truly how I have laid so many beneficial roots of routine and consistency in my life, but they are not just these rigid rules that I've set because of these goals and expectations I have for myself. They're coming from my personal reflections on my personal experience so that they have meaning, so that they actually fit me and my lifestyle and who I am and what I want to do. So if you are somebody that struggles with either visualizing for yourself, setting goals, setting intentions, managing your time, mapping your planner, your calendar, etc., I am telling you, start by looking back and then looking forward. And Moonday Musings is here every single Monday. But at the end of every single month, I'm here. I'm here to remind you. I'm here to do it right alongside with you and look back at what we've kind of come through, the steps that we've taken, so that we can all mindfully together step into the month ahead, a little bit more grown, a little more wiser, having looked back at everything that we've experienced. So, one thing that I do want to review with you would be the astrology briefly of this past month. So, all throughout this month on Moon Day, we have been going through the astrological energy each week. On the first Moon Day of the month, we go over the whole month's cosmic forecast. And then each week in between, leading up to our reflection and gratitude episode, we're going over the astrological news and highlights. Today is a special Moon Day because today is the new moon in Gemini. If you're listening to this on Monday, May 26th, it is our new moon in Gemini. This is a particularly beneficial time for doing this intentional reflection, my friend. Not only is a new moon a wonderful, wonderful time for inner reflection and introspection, Gemini, the sign, the air sign, which rules over our mental realms and is ruled by planet Mercury, who is master of our nervous system and our mind and our thinking and our communication and our interaction. This is a time that we are already very, very connected to our mental thought processes, our mental landscape, and our thoughts in general. So thinking right now is a really good thing to do. Now, overthinking is a really, really easy thing to do right now. And so I highly, highly, highly recommend weaving some grounding into your reflection, especially this month, especially if you do this today on the Gemini new moon. You are naturally going to already be in your mental, in your air spaces. So add a little bit to your earth spaces today to like bring a little bit of an anchor so that everything that you're generating up here in your mental ether is rooted, you're creating it and bringing it into reality. So something that can be very, very helpful while you're doing your reflection this month, for example, would be maybe having like a really nourishing snack while you're doing that. Maybe you're eating some like either a really wonderful like comfort food, or maybe it's something like really crisp and refreshing that you need today. Maybe it's something that's just genuinely like hearty and filling because that's what you need right now. But really anchoring into grounding through a snack and through eating right now is something that can be helpful when done mindfully during this process. Another way to weave in some grounding into your reflection this month is to do it outside, to do it in front of an open window where there's fresh air. Maybe your feet can be in the grass. Maybe you can have a little bit of sunshine on your skin for a little bit. So really weave some earth energy into your reflections, especially right now, just because we are already right into this airy Gemini, Mercury ruled energy. It's already a naturally very introspective time because of this new moon in Gemini. So, really anchoring yourself to earth and some grounding energy is going to help keep your feet on the ground, keep you from overthinking, keep you from losing yourself in your mental processes right now. Okay. So some of the main highlights that went on during May 2025. First and foremost, we are currently in Pluto retrograde. Pluto stationed retrograde in Aquarius at the very beginning of May on the 4th, on Star Wars Day, if you remember we were talking about that. So we are in Pluto retrograde until I believe October. Yes, October 13th. I love that. So Pluto has stationed retrograde. We have this from now until October, while Pluto is retrograde in Aquarius, there's definitely going to be some truths that come to light, especially in our greater society and greater communities at large, for sure. We're going to probably see some even stronger and stronger calls for human first systems of support. And we're probably going to see a lot of those calls rooted in or due to potentially, there could be some like catastrophic events that take place. There could be, and this is not, me, I'm like very, very anti fear mongering. But where we are at and with Pluto, where we are at as a society, and with Pluto in Aquarius and with Pluto in its retrograde cycle in Aquarius right now, that's also not uncommon and not really to be totally unexpected. And so, and honestly, unfortunately, in a lot of ways, we're really desensitized to a lot of catastrophe right now, anyways, as a community. And I want you to use this and let this knowledge of Pluto being in retrograde in Aquarius for these next almost 6 months to serve as this simmering on the back burner or this seed that's always in the back of your mind reminder to turn toward community and to be a part of strong communities. How are you nurturing communities? How are you contributing to communities? We can only truly stand together when we stand together, when we support each other, when we help each other, when we show up. And so I want you to challenge yourself to find ways to contribute, turn toward, and better the community should we cross the threshold of events like that happening. And that should be, just kind of blanket advice, let's be, how can we help our fellow human when they need it most? Now, this month, we also had Mercury move into Taurus and then complete its whole cycle in Taurus yesterday when it moved into Gemini. So, over the last couple of weeks, Mercury has been in a much more methodical, practical, grounded way. We might have been craving a lot more nature. We might have been craving a lot more slowing down. Our mind very well may have been craving a lot more just like quiet and stillness and less, just like nice, like not clutter, just like nice, visual, pleasing on our mind, on our peace, on our serenity. Those are the types of experiences, visuals, sounds, and activities that we've been really, really craving while Mercury was in Taurus. Now that Mercury has moved into Gemini, and now that the Sun is in Gemini, we might see this uptick in what we're craving as far as how we're stimulating ourselves, how we're entertaining ourselves, how we're keeping ourselves busy, what we're focusing on, what we're putting our energy and attention into. We might have a lot more moving parts in the next couple of weeks while Mercury is in Gemini. We tend to multitask a lot more and try to split our attention between more than one thing at once. We can even have those experiences during Mercury and Gemini where we really, really wish we could be in more than one place at once as well. So remember that though your brain is absolutely the incredible superpower that it is, it still has its physical limitations and capacities that still need to be nurtured and honored. And if you did a lot of really good nervous system work throughout Taurus season, did a lot of good grounding and nervous system repair, or slowing down, or rest, or play, those things very well will serve you moving into Gemini season. Don't lose them though. Just because you did all that, don't lose that. Remember to continue working practices like that into your life still, so that during these times that we are feeling naturally more busy and maybe naturally more awake or energized in our mind, or more social or more interactive, remember to still be giving yourself like that rest and recon time that you do still you do still need at the end of the day, that your brain still needs. Give your brain rest still. I always say Mercury as a planet is totally like the Energizer Bunny, and it can bestow those powers onto the two signs that it rules, Gemini and Virgo, for sure. And those energies can be unstoppable when they really truly know how to take care of themselves and refuel their capacities and refuel their systems and give themselves the rest that they need. They can really be unstoppable in a lot of ways. So you might enjoy this big uptick in energy. You might be a person who finds this time a little bit jarring right now, transitioning from Taurus into Gemini season, depending on who you are, depending on your chart and how this shows up for you. Remember the simple but profound power of breath work during busy energy seasons like this, my friend. Do not underestimate the power of breath work. I will tell you that much. This month, we also had our full moon in Scorpio, our big, bright, super illuminating on every single aspect of the emotional spectrum full moon in Scorpio. That was on May 12th. I know that for us in that witch school, we had our full moon shadow work group on the full moon in Scorpio that evening. It was such a beautiful call, and so much came up. Like, we had these prompts that seemed, relatively simple on the surface, and so many of us had so much to say, so much to think about it, things that we didn't even realize that we would have a lot to think and to say and to feel about these concepts. So this was a particularly illuminating full moon. I would not be surprised if you had some stuff come up for you that you really didn't know was there, and you might even still be kind of sorting through and sifting through what to do with some of that, what to do with some of those real realizations. Absolutely. Give yourself the time and space to integrate those. I would not be surprised if Gemini season kind of naturally helps you put some of those things into place, but don't rush the process. If this was a month that brought up a lot of realizations or kind of epiphanies or kind of awakenings for you, the first step is realizing truth. And sometimes it just takes time to actually put anything into action after that realization point. But trust in your natural process that you will integrate those learnings and that clarity into your life. Gemini season began last week and will go until June 20th. So we are right in Gemini season, like we've been talking about. And then over these last few days, we've had like bing, bang, boom. We had Saturn shift into Aries on May 24th. We had Mercury move into Gemini yesterday on the 25th. And then today is our new moon in Gemini on the 26th. Saturn moving into Aries alone is a big shift, happening like right at the beginning of these consecutive planetary celestial shifts like this. We're going to see some big new beginnings. We're going to see a lot of stuff come full circle right now and kind of continue as we move forward. I would not be surprised if you're feeling a lot of connections like really, really happening for yourself right now or happening for those around you. That's certainly been a lot of how this has shown up for me. For sure. So let's take a quick beat here. Let's pause. You can either pause right now and do some reflection, but let's intentionally shift from some reflection into some gratitude work. All right, my friend. So reflection is the first part of the process. We do the time travel thing. We look back at all this data, all this evidence of this last month. Yes, we are letting it inform us into our month and our steps ahead. And it's really, really important, especially for those of us that do energy work, to pull from this reflection work the threads of gratitude that I promise you are there if you allow yourself to see them. Especially if for any reason or for a million reasons, May 2025 was a particularly difficult or challenging month for you, I highly, highly recommend looking for and finding even one thread of gratitude. It is often these threads that stay with us and carry us through some of the most difficult things that we have to face. And whether that means being grateful for the type of support that you are able to receive amidst tragedy. Or maybe it's being grateful. I mean, you can get very, very creative with this. You can be grateful for something as simple as having a pillow to put your head on at night. You can be grateful for Spotify and YouTube, and that you can listen to your favorite podcasts and connect with people that you enjoy and resonate with, like me. Your gratitude can be as simple as the sip of water that you take right here and now because you need a sip of gratitude. It doesn't matter how simple it seems. Gratitude is massively healing and supportive and transformative and resilient. If you are a person who is needing some resilience right now, I invite you to do some gratitude work with me, friend. So when I did my reflection, I realized how much May felt like I walked through the fairy portal at Beltane at the beginning of the month, because it felt like time just swirled into confusion. And not in a bad way. Not in a bad way by any means. But time completely shifted for me. How I look at it, how it feels passing by. There's so much of my what felt like really solid reference points when it comes to time and how I see it and how I manage it and how I spend it that totally turned into these like very intangible, suddenly not concrete at all, very boundless, very conceptual, up for grabs. Because really, ultimately, when I was reflecting, I realized I'm like, that's what a period of redefining looks like. When we're redefining massive, massive concepts for ourselves. And this happens for all of us in a multitude of ways. And it's very much the same for me. My concept of time, how I spend it, how I manage it, how I view it, for me is transforming due to a lot of personal inner healing work. My growing sobriety it's constantly, my conception of time is now constantly developing. As a person who doesn't drink alcohol anymore and who's in active recovery for that and building community intentionally in that, it's completely changing how I view not just how I spend time right now, but how I used to spend time and how I would like to continue spending time moving forward. It really is this period of redefinition. Motherhood really, really contributes to this redefinition. Watching the morphing and developing and evolution of your child and you as a byproduct, as their parent, that is also contributing heavily to this big redefinition period of time. My marriage is doing the same thing. My husband and I have been together since 2012. Nice. Thanks, Mark. 2012. So we've been together for 13 years. But we've been friends, very good friends, since 2003. And now we have this 6-year-old, almost 7-year-old with each other. And like being able to hold in my mind these memories I have of me at 13 and him at 14 and us in our 20s and us newly married and us as new parents, like it is totally reshaping my definition of time right now. And my business is a huge contributor of this too. Seeing how That Witch Next Door and That Witch podcast has evolved and morphed over the last several years is amazing. I just shared last week. Yes, it was last Moonday on my email newsletter. I shared an old blog post that I came by, and I'll make sure it's linked in the show notes for everybody. It's still up on the website. It was one of my first blog posts, and it's from 2021. It's from long ago in a faraway land, long before That Witch podcast existed. Not that long, but it felt like so much longer before I started the podcast. It's not that, it's like a few months before I started the podcast. But I wrote it before I really birthed the idea for the podcast. Certainly before the podcast had a name. It might have been before I even knew I wanted to start one. I can't remember exactly, but reading my words and the words in this blog post, it's a blog post about welcoming Mercury home, because Mercury was moving into Gemini, just like Mercury moved into Gemini yesterday. And so it's about this same time of year, around this same type of season, a Mercury and Gemini season in 2021. And the way that I wrote this blog post was like so beautifully and purely Mercury channeled. And because of that, I'm so authentic in it. Like part of me forgot writing it at all. I almost forgot that blog post existed had I not been like sifting through and sorting through the blog. But at the same time, when I was reading these words, it was the whole process of writing. It was like so vivid all of a sudden. And I remember being so in it and like so lucid and which is just hilarious. Again, it was something that at that time seemed so, like whatever. It was an easy, just like we talked about at the beginning of the episode, it was this insignificant detail, so to speak. I would have completely forgotten about it had I not been intentionally going back through the podcast and sorting through it. So again, intentional reflection, my friend, game changer. But it did exactly what I've described to you. It transported me back and put me into the shoes of that version of myself. And it made me realize that I really have not fully and properly thanked that version of myself yet, which makes a lot of sense. It hasn't, in the scheme of things, been that long since 2021. It's been 4 years. But I'm pretty sure most of you listening to or watching this are like, no, I feel the same way about my 2021 version of myself. My friends, so much has taken place for us collectively and individually over these last several years. It is really, really tremendous to look back at. It really is. And it was a beautiful reminder getting to read these like just really raw, authentic words. You could tell how unapologetically like just real I was writing this. And when I say real, it's just in my very quintessential, goofy, funny, I don't have to write, I don't, it's a big, my inner teenager's like big middle finger to all of the like super strict, rigid, formal writing that I had to do. There was rarely space for my like actual writing voice and creativity. And I forgot that the moment I started blogging, how much that like exploded out of me so naturally. Like my natural writing voice, like just exploded. And I now, having been allowed to do that for these last several years, I have started to take that for granted. And so getting to look back and read these early writings from the early days of That Witch Next Door and prior to That Witch podcast, it put me in a place of gratitude for my past self, who seems to be doing all right. There's a lot of shit I have done over the years that I am not thrilled with, and I'm working on not regretting and not resenting. And at the same time, I am where I am right now, and where I am today is feeling incredibly, incredibly grateful for you, for this magic that we talk about with each other, that we create with each other, for this amazing community that's just blossoming within it in that witch school. And then I think about the greater neighborhood community, even outside of that witch school, of all of us who connect with each other, even if I don't know your exact name, but you've been sitting here and listening with me or watching me for as long as you have. This, it's just, I'm so truly humbled by the flowers of today from so many seeds of faith that I planted. Some last month, some many years ago, some, just a handful of time ago. And again, what is fucking time, anyways, when you're reflecting about it, But that's where I'm at this month. This month, I'm grateful for the seeds that I planted and the flowers that I have as a result of today. And you, my friend, are a very, very, very special one of those flowers. I hope that you know that. I want to close out our time with each other today with a card pull from the wonderful and always beautiful Work Your Light deck by Rebecca Campbell and Danielle Noel. So every reflection and gratitude episode, I always pull a card from this specific deck. It just has a wonderful, light, airy, and loving energy and grace about it. And if you are already kind of recognizing what you are grateful for this past month and kind of already sitting in that, or if you're still kind of pondering through some of your reflection and opening yourself up to what your threads of gratitude might be, I invite you to kind of roll out your shoulders. You can stretch, move your body, shift your position in any way that you need to kind of refresh your energy right now. Call on your guides and visualize yourself in a nice, cleansed, safe, and protective orb of energy. And whenever you're ready, I want you to open yourself up to any guidance, any insight, any messages that you may be needing or seeking at this time, as we all prepare to head into the month of June. And today we have pulled the Age of Light, which I just think is already so beautiful. with everything that we're talking about with community right now, especially as we inevitably encounter negativity, destruction, harm, tragedy. It's a part of our life here on earth, and it is certainly a part of the time that we are in right now. And the message on the card of the Age of Light says, you have been training for this for lifetimes. From the guidebook, the Age of Light says, mystics and sages throughout the ages have predicted this period in history, and you decided to incarnate in the middle of it. There is no mistake that you are supposed to be here at this time of great change. If you ever feel unprepared or daunted by the path that is calling you, know this: you've been training for this for lifetimes. You're way more than the days that you have breathed through you in this life. You're also all of the lifetimes that came before. All of the experiences have polished your soul into the most magnificent expression that is your authentic self. Your soul has many facets. Imagine a fingerprint. Your soul is 1,000,000 times more intricate than that. If you put together all of the fingerprints of all of the people you have been, you would not even get close to fathoming how much of a unique masterpiece you are. You came in with a clear soul plan. You came in with wisdom beyond your years. This is the part of you that longs to be seen. This is the part of you that is ready to step forward, that is ready to emerge. This is not the lifetime to stay hidden, but to step forth, be seen, and rise. And the Work Your Light deck has an activation for this card. And you are invited to gaze upon this card, put your hands over your heart, and say, I call forth the soul gifts and soul training that I have received throughout all of my lifetimes. I am ready to embody them all now, without hesitation and without fear. I have been training for this for lifetimes. So beautiful, so meaningful. I know that for me personally, having kind of reflected with you a little bit about what May has been like for me and the headspace that has me in, even with how wishy-washy or ungrounded plenty of parts seem to be, reading a message like that really truly brings this quiet peace. Even if it's not necessarily fully grounded, it brings kind of this quiet stillness to the constant hum or the constant buzz. And that's really, really how I view the energy of that card. It's like it helps quiet the chatter and the distraction that ultimately doesn't really matter, and helps us turn toward and act upon what does in this beautiful age of light. What a beautiful moon day. I am so grateful for you, my flower of a neighbor. This has been an incredible journey with you, and I love being on this ride and seeing where it carries all of us. thank you tremendously from the bottom of my heart for your time today and every day. I can't wait to see you for our first Monday, our first moon day of June, and everything that we'll be getting up to together next month. I will see you very soon for another special episode of That Witch Podcast in just a couple of days. You definitely don't want to miss it. If you loved what we talked about today, you are going to adore my guest episode coming up on Wednesday, all about naturally empowered living with my wonderful friend and colleague, Jenna Smith. Until then, my friend, make sure that you are staying safe, you're letting yourself have some fun, of course, and stay magical, my friend. What is That Witch School? That Witch School is my magical monthly membership that combines safe, welcoming, nurturing community with quality, ethical witchcraft and astrology education. This is like Patreon meets social media, but better. We have monthly calls hosted and guided by myself, as well as multiple instructors within our school. An incredibly beautiful and supportive community of like-minded witches, all built from the neighbors within our neighborhood right here. Plus, there is a just astounding library of resources and content that is always growing, and so much more. You can go back and listen to my episode on the podcast called Welcome to That Witch School 2025 for all kinds of details and information on the membership, the different plans you can subscribe for, pricing, and frequently asked questions, everything that you need to know. Or you can always send me a direct message or email if you ever have any questions. You can get my contact information in the show notes below. And when you're ready to join us, you can go to thatwitchschool.com and find the plan that works for you and join our magical community today.